Controversial Bill Burns, and nobody likes a quitter.
Lately, everyone been talking crazy. Feel like everybody's got some to say. They misinterpreted my good intentions and expected I was just gonna step away. If there's a heart that pumps and there's a breath to take, then I won't bite my tongue as long as I'm awake. And they don't have the guts to make a dumb mistake. I'd rather crash a car than never touch the brakes. I built this in-house. They're the kind of people that be dying for exposure. They're the kind of people that get mad and lose composure. They're the kind of people that are never going forward. They're just the ones that are looking for apologies. Hating real loud, but they follow me. Screaming at the top of their lungs, I'm the scum of the earth. In the same damn breath, trying to preach about equality.
Welcome back to Matrix Wars. Today we're going to be talking about the Stanley situation, the passing of this great legendary hero amongst geeks and pop fandom and culture. He is most remembered among all the other Marvel writers, Steve Ditko, Jack Kirby, but Stan Lee was kind of like the flagship guy. He was kind of the mascot, the Mickey Mouse, if you will. Like, people, when they heard Marvel, they were like, oh yeah, that's from Stan Lee. He passed away almost a week ago. Day before my birthday, actually. That wasn't a good birthday surprise, definitely. It's a sad one. But Stan Lee and his passing was definitely something that influenced the world over. I mean, if you looked on social media at all, you'd be able to tell that quite quickly. So, this video, I didn't really know what to say in regards to the great Stan Lee, this legendary man. I couldn't really fathom the words I could put into a script to write for such an iconographical figure. He was just more than words could describe. I could write a 30-page essay on him, make it last an hour-long video, and it would still not be enough to dwell with his memory. But when the hatred and the spitefulness of SJWs, NPCs, these soy boys and cuck faces decided to come out of their hidden walls and their slimy pits and try to tarnish and stain the memory of Stan the man, one, it just showed them for who they really are. It showed their colors. What their banners really were, and who they aligned with on that scale of, allies and enemies. And it also showed that no matter what they were to say, the fans of Stan Lee and of Marvel were going to stand with Stan Lee. And I was very proud of that. When these people started making tweets, the day after and the day of his passing, people were already, F him, F this, F that. I mean, talk about complete and utter disrespect. It'd be different if you, they're acting like you're talking about Hitler or Fidel Castro over here. This is Stan Lee, a man who was born in a totally different time period. He should have been raised to think certain things the way that they were back then, but instead he was quite the opposite. He was a progressive. He was a man who wanted to who helped, I would think, in a way, help the young generations of the future transform and morph into this mentality of what we have today, which is accepting and, being accepting of other people, whether it be race or gender. And now they're coming out of the woodwork. They didn't want to say anything, I guess, when they were too much of cowards to say it to his face. So they'll wait till he's buried in the ground before they say anything else. But thankfully, people are standing up. And now Bill Maher, the total garbage of human being. I don't even like him. I try to give people the break, and there's a couple times where I've been like, I don't really agree with Bill Maher, but there's times where I'm like, okay, he's legitimately funny, and your opinion's your opinion, and whatnot. And then he goes after Stan Lee and the memory of him. And I don't care if it was supposed to be a joke or not. When you obviously know that there are people out there who are saying these things with spite and hate as their intent, and then you go after him like that, whether it be in a joking manner or not, you know that this has happened and is happening. And you kind of got to realize, oh, maybe I'm taking it a bit too far. What I basically want to say is this. Stan Lee was one of the greatest men in the 20th and 21st century. I would say that he and George R.R. Martin are the two greatest writers of the 21st century who will influence the 21st century in ways that we will never be able to imagine. How Tolkien was for the 20th century. I think Stan Lee was for the crossover between the 20th and the 21st, and then George R. R. Martin definitely is now into the 21st century. But Stan Lee was like the crossway, the bridge. And not only that, but he will forever be remembered as a great writer, a great icon, someone that will dwell within the hearts of the fans. And honestly, I don't think Marvel movies won't be as memorable or as fun or as enjoyable or magical without that Stan Lee cameo. I mean, I know it's a small part, but it's such a major part. I mean, it's small, yes, in the sense that it only lasts like 5 seconds, but it's such a big part of the movie. I mean, people go into these movies thinking, I wonder what Stan Lee's role is going to be. Now, there's not going to be a role. Nothing to be filled. And that's a sad thing. But I have to say that Stan Lee was able to pass away knowing that his stories had reached a worldwide audience in which they were number one. A number one franchise in the cinema world. And he helped it become that. And I'm glad that if he was old enough, he was 95, he was going to pass away soon anyways. And he held on strong and hard. He was a tough man. But I'm glad that he was able to pass away at a time in which he was able to see the glory of the empire that he was built. Because a lot of people in pop culture see the warning signs of Miss Marvel, especially with Brie Larson's recent tweets. I mean, her disrespectfulness towards Stan Lee is also something worth of note. But Brie Larson's such a boring human being, I don't even want to spend time thinking about that. Stan Lee will go on in our hearts forever as a fantastic man. One who has transformed pop culture, shaped our lives, and gave us inspiration for the ages. He has given us movies that have inspired us. For me, it would be the Spider-Man trilogy, the Sam Raimi trilogy. Spider-Man 1, 2, and yes, even the cluster crap that is Spider-Man 3. I love it all. And Stan Lee was in every single one of those movies. And those movies inspired me and pushed me onward as a young man and as a kid and a boy into what I am today. So I thank you, Stan Lee, for your hard work and your contributions to pop culture. We love you. And please rest in peace. Thank you for watching.